I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, we're going to look at some of the models of classic rack preamps and some awesome rack-inspired effect models in the Axe-Fx 3, FM9, and FM3. I've got my old Strat, which has some Sir Michael Landau signature pickups in it, which feels appropriate for this type of video. Just going straight into the Axe-Fx 3. Let's start out with the CA3 Clean amp model. This one is based on the CAE preamp, which had 3 channels, a pretty legendary clean sound, as well as a great crunch and lead sound. I would encourage you to try all 3 models that are included in the Axe-Fx, but just at stock settings with my free cab IR on here, no other effects. I'm on the bridge and middle pickup combo on this guitar. It sounds like this. So it's a pretty neutral, sparkly, clean sound, which is kind of what we want. We want a blank canvas to build on. I'm going to add a reverb at the back here. This is the large chamber reverb, and I'm going to add a compressor up front. This is the Studio Feed Forward compressor. I'm just going to set the ratio to 4, and this is kind of going to bring everything to life. Now, depending on your guitar, you're going to want to adjust the gain on here as well as the overall EQ. To my ears, this particular guitar sounds like it could do with a little bit more treble and middle on here. I'm just going to cut a little bit of bass. I'll also turn the gain up just a little bit. I get this. So we've got a great sounding clean amp, we've got compression and reverb. We should add some modulation to this. And what I'm actually going to use is the multi-tap delay block. And I'm going to go in here and select the 1210 effect type. This is based on the TC 1210 chorus. Let's turn that one on and have a listen to what it does. Taste, I like a little less mix on this particular effect type, somewhere around 20%. And then I like to come into the time modulation section here and just turn the overall depth down just a little bit. This is what we get. The killer combo for 80s cleans, though, is a great stereo chorus combined with some stereo pitch detune. So I'm just using the dual detune effect type in here, 9 cents of detune either side, some very small delay offsets. Have a listen to what this adds to the overall picture. Another classic rack chorus is the old tri-stereo chorus. This is modeled in the chorus block. Let's have a listen to what happens when I kick that in on the clean sound and then add some detune to it. Next up, let's get some crunch going on here. There's a lot of great dirty amps in the Axe-Fx, but there's some specific rack preamps modeled in here that are quite fond, for me anyway. The JMP1 being one of them, and we've got the JM Pre1 model in here. I always like the OD1 mode on my real JMP1 with the bass shift engaged. So I'm going to start here with basically everything at noon. We'll hear it with the guitar with humbuckers in a second, but we'll start out with the Strat. Basically just dial it in the way you would dial in any other amp. let's hear those same settings with humbuckers. You probably would have noticed that on here, instead of going from 0 to 10, the knobs go from 0 to 12 and then down to -12 over here. This kind of mimics the behavior of the real world JMP1, where you basically had a fixed tone stack and then the EQ controls on there were a kind of programmable graphic EQ. You can even go to the output EQ in here and see that that is modeled as the JMP1 EQ type in there. So this guitar is a lot brighter in here, so I can kind of get away with using a little more bass. I also like turning the presence up and maybe the treble down a little bit. We're going to add some of that glorious pitch detune to this in just a second. I should have mentioned as well, I'm using the London Plate reverb on this one. Let's keep rolling with this guitar and move over to another classic high gain rack preamp, the Soldano X88. This is modeled as the Solo 88 lead in here. You can see I've basically turned most of the main knobs to around 1 o'clock. I've got a Soldano Hot Rod, which is a full amp that actually sounds quite similar to this one on here. What we'll do is we'll kick in that pitch detune in just a second, and then in the delay block, I'll let you hear it with the 2290 delay with some modulation on there, just more or less the stock settings. Just turn the delay time up a little bit and the mix up a little bit. Then we'll also hear it with this dual delay set up for some kind of Van Halen balance error sounds on there. So around 800 and 400 milliseconds of delay on there. But first, let's just hear the raw amp sound. A nice little addition to that sound, if you don't like the pitch detune, is to go to the chorus block. Instead of using the tri-stereo chorus, try the Dimension 1 type on there. Let's hear how that just kind of adds some width and girth to the guitar tone. Let's finish up with one more amazing sounding dirty amp. I'm going to go with the USA Pre Lead to Yellow. This is based on the Triaxis by Mesa Boogie. There's actually most of the modes from that preamp modeled in here. We've got USA Pre Clean, the lead one red, then lead to green, red, and yellow. Green is kind of more your Mark IV lead. Red is a super over-the-top dirty sound, and yellow is your 2C plus tone on there. So I've dialed this one in the way I would normally dial in any kind of boogie, bass and mid-low, crank up the treble and the gain, give it something resembling a V curve in the EQ section. I don't really turn the 6600 slider up that much, but if you use darker cabs, you might want to bring that one up. But this one is a really nice alternative to, say, the USA lead models or the 2C plus models. They basically have the fat switch on by default, so they're amazing for lead playing. Well, hear it as it is with just some reverb in there, then I'll bring in that 2290 delay. What I'm going to do with the delay is go into the more section and just add a little bit of ducking in there. So the release time is at 100 milliseconds. We'll go for about 9 dB of attenuation, which means while I'm playing, the delays are going to be softer and they'll be turned up as I stop playing on here. So let's have a listen to what this does. Another super fun way to get delay and detune in something like an 80s inspired lead preset would be to use the dual detune delay mode in here. I've got 400 milliseconds of delay on each voice, 9 cents of detune either side, and I've got the cross feedback controls cranked up. In the master section, I've got the master feedback at around 50%. This one sounds pretty awesome, and I'm going to play that thing that I always play. More honorable mentions. In the multi-tap delay, we've got the old Lexicon PCM70 circular and pan delays model. Let's have a listen to the PCM circular. I'll jump on the Strat for the very last example because we've got to talk about gated reverb. You use the mega tap delay if you want gated reverb in here. So just use the gated reverb type. You can set the kind of core delay time in here with this control right there. Sounds pretty good at the stock settings. I've just turned the mix right up. That's it for today. I had a whole bunch of fun putting this video together and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments section below. And if you've got requests for future Tuesday Tone Tip videos, put them in the comments section as well. Otherwise, have a great day and I'll see you next time.